coronavirus battle. Honeywell announced after the virus pandemic began that manufacturing plants in Phoenix and, closer to us, in Smithfield, Rhode Island, would start making those masks. Trump decided to go to Phoenix and said at the Phoenix plant that workers have made America proud.
WOON, Woonsocket. 1240 Woonsocket.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email at joe@onesocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and panel on ON 1240, WOON One-Socket Radio.
And a good morning to you. It is Coffee and Time on ON AM and FM, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM. This is Joe Callahan thanking you for joining us on this Thursday morning. It's May 7th, 2020. Also with us on the Coffee and panel today via the phone is attorney Bob Lauder. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Whoa, I can hear Bob very faintly in the background, Dave. Say
there you
hello
go, Bob. Just say hello again.
Hello. How are you?
There you
go. All right. Thanks. Nice to have you on, Bob. Everything okay with you?
Yes. Hope everything is good with you and your family as well.
Yes, so far. Everything's going fine. Dave Richards is right over there. Hello, Dave.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, I'm sorry. A lot of things happened real quick at the beginning of the show. I was trying to adjust you because you sound a little tinny, a little trebly today.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, so I was adjusting that, and I didn't have Bob's switch in place so you could hear him.
Gotcha.
There's like 20 switches, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
But
Bob, we're supposed to be.
I don't think anybody's going to fire me.
I don't think. No, not right now. At least not while the pandemic's going on.
Right. We need you, Dave.
And we're awaiting a phone call, Bob, from Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee.
Great.
Who's going to be joining us this morning, talking about what he's up to during this whole crisis thing that's going on. So we're waiting to hear from him, and he has not called in yet, but he will as soon as he's ready to do it. So in the meantime, Bob.
Yes, I can answer one of the questions you had for me last week. Remember the question was whether or not the governor could order the shutdowns of various industries and businesses.
Okay. Excuse me, gentlemen. The Lieutenant Governor has joined us on the phone.
Great.
All right. Hold on to that for a while. Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, thanks for joining us on Coffee and.
Well, thanks for the invitation, Dave. Great to be here. Or is this Joe?
This is Joe.
We're both here, Dan, so you can't go wrong.
We're both there. All right, Dave and Joe, thank you very much for the invitation.
All right. Are you traveling at the moment, or are you stationary somewhere?
I am stationary.
All right. Very good. But you have been traveling around the state, right?
Well, we travel a little bit, but mostly I've been doing the stay-at-home and doing our business from home and through all the different types of, virtual meetings. And every morning we have a staff meeting at 9 o'clock and get our whole staff on the phone and go over the agenda for today and get the work done.
Plus, you have those wonderful noontime meetings as well. Those not really public meetings, but they're like press conference meetings, right?
Yeah, the Lake Press Conference, we did that, Dave, for about 4 weeks or more, and now we're actually doing it off of, off a virtual platform so that we can have people can either continue to call in, or we actually have opened it up now to a social media because, like a Facebook audience where we're able to get, a couple thousand people to be able to watch it. And because what's happening now, we think that we're getting into the reopening stage of this health crisis, and so we want to share more and more information with people in terms of what a safe reopening looks like.
Okay, so your conference calls with small businesses occur every Tuesday and Friday at noontime. What were the big questions that people were asking you, Dan, when you had these conference calls from small business? What were they most concerned about?
Yeah, we had as many as 450 businesses on a call. We averaged well over 250 businesses for several weeks. And what we did was, because the small businesses were very very interested in what was happening with the federal stimulus and the SBA loan, and there were 2 loans out there that they could have gotten involved in, and we were doing our best to walk them through the loan process for that PPP, which is that payroll protection program. A number of our businesses in your area, we were able to help, make sure that they were timely and filled out the applications correctly. And a number of our businesses in Rhode Island, in particular in northern Rhode Island, were able to, benefit from that payroll protection plan. So that early on, that was a lot of the discussion is how can these businesses continue to stay in business when they don't have any business? And so we were able to have as our guests on the program, on the call, we've had our full congressional team has been on at one time or another with Congressman Cicilline, Congressman Landry, Senator Reid, Senator Whitehouse, because a lot of the initial stages was about the federal package that was available, and then we were able to get Mark Hayward on regularly. He's a regular on our call, and he's one of our regional SBA directors who happens to be from Rhode Island, and has really been really helpful there. And then over time, it's still really very much focused on the mechanics of those loans, because a number of people are still trying to get them, or they have them, they're trying to figure out how to manage them. And then the unemployment kicked in, right, with all the plans that have to do with. We have over 200,000 applications right now in Rhode Island. So we have had the Department of Labor and Training on our call regularly now. Matt Weldon, who's the assistant director at DLT, comes on. And we answer a lot of questions for people who are either in the process of trying to collect. The whole new program, which has never been there before, independent contractors, sole proprietors of businesses, people who are in the gig economy, musicians who normally don't collect. There's a program that that there's an unemployment program that they can collect on. So we've been helping them as well as the businesses. And then we have had Liz Tanner on regularly, which is she is the director of the Department of Business Regulation. That has a great deal to say about how what businesses can and can't do in their operations. So she's there to answer questions as well. And then we've just switched over about 3 weeks ago, bringing on business panels. So because we wanted to hear directly from the businesses. So we've had business panels from farmers talking about unlevel playing fields, that they can't open up their greenhouses in the same way that the garden shops in the same way that either the big box stores can, or even the Massachusetts can. And now we've had restaurants on talking about things. So we're open to anybody who wants to talk about business, small business. We've had I had a side call this week with hair salons and salons, and what we're trying to do, and I'll leave it at that so you can kind of ask questions, but it gives you kind of a broad look. But we're going to reopen. And there's going to be the virus. And so what I'm trying to really insist on is that we put flexibility into our opening, so that if we can accommodate a business without putting the health of our communities at risk, we should be doing a lot more, I think, to accommodate our businesses. And I can provide several examples where the businesses are asking for a certain level of relief that, if given, that it's not going to impact the health of the health. So I want to see flexibility in our reopening, and that's one of the things we're going to be working on over the next several weeks, is identifying ways that we can help businesses, open up in a way that they can do more business and accommodate and service their customers that are waiting patiently to do business with their favorite small businesses.
Lieutenant Governor, also on the Coffee and program today is Attorney Bob Lauder. I know you've met Bob in the past, and go ahead, Bob. Just a question for you in regards to this, because you run a small business. It's your law office, but what with the courts closed, do you have any questions of when courts will reopen? Are they part of the Phase 1 program? Have you heard anything?
Right now, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has indicated that the courts will be closed through May 17th. Now, I don't know if they're going to extend it beyond May 17th or if they'll be reopening at that time. But the court cases that had been scheduled for the period when they first closed the court to ordinary business up until May 17th will be rescheduled throughout the following month. And it's going to be probably pretty intensive court calendars as things go on. But if I can ask the Lieutenant Governor a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Governor, when a business has a small business, how do they actually tie in to trying to make an application for some of the small business loans that are available? Who do they see?
Well, a couple of avenues. We make it nice and simple for people that call our office at 222-2371, and we can guide them through that. If they're looking to work on their own, I mean, going through their local accounting or attorney, they can certainly get some advice. The PPP loan, which is that payroll protection loan, Bob,
yes,
that is. I believe that there's still some resources there. We thought that might have really, been dried up quicker, but that's been open for a little over a week and a half, and they can go directly to their bank because those PPP loans applications are done directly with their bank. And then they are capable of taking the application and then putting it into the SBA queue, and then all those loans are managed by your bank. The disaster relief loans, which they're not taking any more applications as of right now, that's you go directly into the SBA. So that's a direct connect into the SBA, bypassing your local bank, because that becomes a direct into the portal with the SBA. We certainly can assist people how to get there. At the moment, those loans they're not taking applications on those loans. But as of yesterday, they still were taking applications on the payroll protection plan, and that is for payroll, and it's based on 2.5 times your monthly average of a payroll. That's what you can qualify for. And as long as you spend 75% of that loan on payroll over an 8-week time frame, that loan is forgiven, which is unheard of, but now it's very common knowledge that those loans are, as long as you have 75% of that loan. Say if you borrowed $100,000, then $75,000 of that needs to go for payroll over that 8-week period of time, and then the other 25% of that loan can be allocated towards overhead, interest, rent, utilities, and those type of things. Then if you exhaust that whole loan, covering those costs during that 2-month time, Bob, that loan is a forgiven loan. So the PPP, you go directly to your bank. The EIDL loan or the disaster relief loan that came out first, that is not, the portal's not open right now, but if it does reopen, you go directly to the SBA.
From your experience, Lieutenant Governor, how long does it take between the time that the business owner goes in and makes the application and the time he actually gets the cash in his hand?
So early on, it seemed to be taking forever, and call after call. Tuesday call, Mark Hayward's on saying, it's coming, and Friday's coming. So right now, I had a Woonsocket business that Rep Phillips got me introduced me to. I know the owner, being up in business all those years in Woonsocket, and they were kind of late into the portal. But they went through a local bank. They went through Navigant, and Navigant was able to bring them through. And I think it was about 2 weeks after she got notification that she got approved, and I believe that she's has received the money as well. So early on, it seemed like it was taking forever. I think that was taking maybe 3-4 weeks. Today, that particular loan was a couple weeks. So it depends on, as you can imagine, Rob, the unbelievable amount of applications happen not only in Rhode Island but throughout the country. And right now, the demand for a financial assistance far exceeds the supply. So we're finding that that businesses are getting the loans, but just as many businesses are not getting the loans. And that PPP loan strategy, I just had a business call me yesterday that we've been working with, and she really didn't have the profile of a business that had payroll. She was a sole proprietor. Most of her overhead was in overhead, rent, and that type of thing, and she was denied. So we'll find out why, but most likely because she didn't have a payroll. You need to have a payroll in order to, get the, qualify for the payroll protection plan. So I would think right now, if that money was still available, somebody applied right now, to get into the portal. I think that's the first thing you have to get this. The bank's got to put you in, and then once you get a confirmation number, then you're in the mix. Probably 2 weeks, something like that, maybe something like that.
That's not bad.
Okay, it's not bad. It's quite quick. It is designed to be quick, and it has been. I mean, the first round of funds, $350 billion. The second round of funds was closer to $250 billion nationally. And that's been virtually exhausted. I believe there's still some. I believe as of yesterday, there's still opportunities that businesses are listening. Again, they can call our office 222-2371, and we can connect them in very quickly with, with the right advice. But if they have a bank that they're doing business with right now, they should give the bank a call and just say that you would like to, make an application, and they'll take the application, and if they can get a confirmation number, then you're in the system.
All right. We're going to take our first break here on the Coffee and Program. If you have a comment or a question for Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, please call it in at 766-1240. Kathy at the Honey Shop reminds you that they have face shields made in the USA that are sanitizable for full face protection and easier breathing, which will come in handy, especially as the warmer weather approaches. The Honey Shop also has multi-layered fabric masks, also made in the USA, and handcrafted masks made right here in Woonsocket. And arriving soon to the Honey Shop, KN95 masks, and our next batch of hand and surface sanitizing spray will be Ocean Breeze fragranced. The Honey Shop, 2 locations in Woonsocket, 6 Winthrop Street and 1300 Park Avenue, The Honey Shop.
Right now is the time for a tune-up on your vehicle. Charlie's Tire and Service Center reminds everyone that they are an authorized dealer of name brand tires like B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, Michelin, and Cooper tires. They also offer the best in mechanical repairs and service. You can't beat Charlie's Tire, 825 South Main Street, Bellingham. Charlie's Tire also offers the best in truck and high-performance tires, and they accept all major credit cards. So for top service at fair prices, for tires or mechanical repairs, it's Charlie's Tires. Remember, to get a tune-up on your vehicle, to keep your car running smooth, call Charlie's Tires, 508-883-1211.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
ON, AM, and FM.
It's Coffee and on ON Radio. This is Joe Callahan here with Attorney Bob Lauder, and Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee is with us. And Dan, we were talking to you about the small business advocacy conference calls that you're having. So do you have a lot of small businesses that are throwing their voice into how the state and the economy should reopen?
Well, we're finding that right now these small businesses are not being they haven't had that opportunity in the way that I think they should, and that's one of the reasons that we're bringing on different types of businesses onto our calls We know that the governor's offices are listening to our calls, our congressional offices are listening to our calls, and as well as many reps and senators, and we've had reps and senators on our calls, our local reps and senators, Rep. Phillips being one of them, that's actually participated in our calls. So I think that we can do a lot better there, and as I was talking before, we're going to reopen, and we're going to reopen during a time when the virus is still in our community. So what I want to see happen is that we get more flexibility in the way we open. For instance, the greenhouses in Rhode Island are restricted in ways that customers, perhaps it's going to change this weekend, but we've been trying to really get the governor's office to accommodate these greenhouses. They're especially coming into Mother's Day right now. Very important time frame for them. They got a lot of product in their greenhouses, and right now, they kind of have to. They can't have the people inside their greenhouses if they're a certain type. But we feel as though that they should be able to go and shop in there as long as they're wearing the mask and doing the social distancing that we all are a lot more aware of today than we were 3 months ago, right? And even a simple thing like we have a number of restaurants. We were able to help them on the takeout to go through their inventory of bottled wine and beer, which was important to them, so that because they had no real business going on, and they had product that was inventory that was just dead on the shelves unless they could sell it, so that they could bring in some cash. We think that right now we're asking that people who have kegs, and a lot of microbrewers have supplied our local restaurants that are doing takeout with kegs. So let's allow them to put it into containers. They call them growlers, and they can put a cover on it just as they can like a bottled beer, and allow that to be sold, as part of the takeout orders that that are allowed right now for beer and wine. And we've got other things. We're talking to I was in the fitness industry for years. We had fitness. I had a call with a large group of people who are in the fitness industry. And they want to know why they're in phase 3, and why couldn't they do a one-on-one training where you're 10 feet apart from a person and actually kind of help them cultivate their businesses. I happen to think that there's ways that we can think about doing that. The hair salons and that type of thing are all trying to figure out ways that they can safely open as well. So I think the Department of Business Regulation has opened up a portal that people can go and put their own version of what a safe opening is, so that they might be able to review it. We're asking people out there to just send their ideas, and we'll deliver it for them. We've set up a special email address at ltgov20@gmail.com, ltgov20@gmail.com. And we're having questions, and also people who have businesses that have questions about opening them, or any question out there, quite frankly, where our office is still taking phone calls, and we're responding to them to phone calls every day, helping on many, many issues. But, Joe, yeah, I think that we can do better.
Okay.
Again, we're going to reopen. The virus is going to be with us. And I think we can do better by our small businesses right now. I'm out there really strongly advocating that not everybody's going to benefit from those federal programs we just talked about, that Bob just talked about, and many of them who do benefit, that's going to run out in 8 weeks, as I said. So this thing's going to go a lot longer than 8 weeks in terms of the new normal, as they say, mass social distancing. It's going to impact all our businesses. The state rightfully shut down many businesses, but those businesses were viable businesses when we started this virus.
Yep.
We should make sure that they're viable after. And so the state, I believe, needs to be extraordinary in their thinking, just like the federal programs were. And I believe that they need to really partner in with all our local banks in an intentional way. I think that a lot of our big businesses that are able and they're financially able are more than willing, if they were organized, to be to really jump into a social entrepreneurship strategy where they go above and beyond what they would normally do to keep our businesses alive. So I think the state and local communities need to partner in with our local banks and our large corporations in a real intentional strategy. Some guarantees coming from the state, some guarantees might be coming from the municipal leaders. Leverage that 10-to-1 or more. You know, heck, we were willing to risk $100 million on a baseball player that didn't know how to run a business, and here we got all these businesses that know how to run businesses. So very, very low risk to invest in them. So leverage that out. Put $1 billion on the street in terms of like good small business loans. The small business community is going to need it, and they're going to survive if we give them what they need to survive. So I'm talking in ways that other people aren't talking right now, but this is an extraordinary time frame, and you know we got people who are borrowing on those PPP loans, those SBA loans. Well, those loans are going to get forgiven. I mean, you would never have heard anything like that, David, Joe, or Bob, that, you know, in the past. That's why we got to shift our thinking on a state level and a municipal level to very extraordinary strategies. And you all know that when I managed my town of Cumberland, I was very fiscally, very conservative, and you know, 8 upgrades of bond rating and overcome a major downgrade when I became mayor. So I've got the experience of working through this, but this impact on our small businesses is going to have a tremendous economic impact on our state, and everybody lives in the state unless we do some extraordinary things.
I want to ask you a question. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Sorry.
Yep.
Do you find the governor and the leadership in the legislature responsive to these issues that you've raised, or is it still fighting to get some recognition of them?
Yeah, Joe, I think it's still fighting because we know that the daily press conferences by the governor, are really exhausting all the air out of the room, and rightfully so. So all the media is covering that. All the headlines and the local newspapers are covering those press conferences. But I think on May 8th, this is why we're starting to ratchet this up, and thanks for having me today. May 8th, which is coming, right? That's tomorrow, I believe. There should be an announcement that the stay-at-home, executive order is going to be adjusted, I believe, at least all indications it's going to be. And so now we've still got the health issue as the priority, but now it's the economic issues. And I think that this is going to heat up. That's why we're trying to get ahead of it, because I'm very concerned that if we don't inject ourselves in terms of having a flexibility in our way that we reopen, I think that a number of people who are not in business are going to make those decisions. And unless you've gone through what these small businesses and these businesses are going through right now, you really don't know the anxiety and the pressure. Heck, your business, you're going through it right now. The pressure, the anxiety that's going on is high in every quarters, and the ability to do business is being impacted in a very strained way right now. So Joe, thanks for asking that. No, I don't think that we have adjusted. I think that we are relying on the federal stimulus dollars to think that that's going to be the fix. I don't believe it will be, and I think that when we start thinking about it, just look at it. Goldman Sachs put $10 million up for a small business outlay. That money was gone in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and then they came back with another $10 million, and that was gone in 5 hours. Citizens put in like a plan with the state at $2 million that was gone in like 45 minutes. This is extraordinary. This is something where we have to be extraordinary in our thinking, and I don't think the state has got there yet. And the municipalities are just starting to understand that they need to create that flexibility. On our call tomorrow, we'll have 3 communities: Cumberland, Johnston, Wesley, members of their city town councils, who are going to be talking about putting in special resolutions, executive orders, supporting executive orders to help restaurants when the state allows it to do outside dining, maybe initially with just the takeout, people picking up the takeout, going to the table, bringing their beverage there, having that they are on the premises but still isolated. So they're actually putting in resolutions now, and I think you're going to see more and more of that. But unless we really focus on it and really start talking about, look, this is not business as usual. This is extraordinary time frames. It requires extraordinary measures. I think that the municipalities are going to really stepping up in a big way, and understanding that unless we do, businesses are going to shut down. All the revenue that they normally generate for our local municipalities, for our local state in terms of sales tax and that type of thing, and also the jobs they provide. All this is going to backfire on us unless we're very extraordinary on this, because there'll be major problems on the unemployment. We know that when there's fiscal issues, there's mental health issues that go along with it. It all compounds itself. That's why I'm really saying we need to be extraordinary in what we do, and that really means doing things that we normally wouldn't think would be correct. Banks need to lend. States need to guarantee. Local communities need to help guarantee maybe some of that for their local businesses. Local communities need to pass executive orders and ordinances that potentially delay some payments from certain businesses that maybe are not getting the help from the federal program. And also, I'll say one other thing, and I'm being a little wordy here, but so important. These businesses that closed or were asked to close or were shut down for the right reasons are going to have to reopen. And when they reopen, the virus is still going to be here. So they're going to have to do things that they normally wouldn't have to do, expenditures to create a safe environment. Whether that means they need to buy hand sanitizers or they have to buy masks for not only the staff that they need to regularly change, or potentially even the customers that come in that don't have masks, that are going to need masks. There's going to need to be some plastic barriers put in certain situations. There's going to be expenses that these businesses are going to incur to no fault of their own. That's where I think the state needs to step in, local communities need to step in, and also businesses that are, that have cash, that are not as impacted by this as others. They need to step in and provide these startup packages for these businesses, so these businesses don't have to outlay that $1,000 or whatever it is that a lot of these businesses don't have. They on average, a small business has 27 days of cash on hand. We've already doubled that. We've been closed more than 27 days times 2. So I think that this is the extraordinary thinking I think we need to really have. Normally, we wouldn't do that for a small business. And by the way, I'm not just talking about small businesses in economic sensitive areas. Every small business in the state of Rhode Island is facing this. I don't care if you're living in a community that has a per capita income that is twice the per capita income of another community. Every small business is at risk right now, so they all live in an at-risk area, and we got to treat it that way.
Do you see the state legislature actually taking any of this action that you're proposing in the near future?
I think they're starting to talk about it, and I know that we have legislators that are talking to me, and it's going to require, on the legislation side, it's going to require leadership to embrace that. Right now, I think that they're really focused on the budget, as they should be. But I can tell you right now that unless they do, our starting line for restarting this economy is going to be way, way, way down, miles down if we don't do this, and then our recovery is going to take a great deal more longer time. So we need to kind of do the things I'm suggesting so that at least all our businesses have a fighting chance, and also that means that we'll recover quicker. So I don't think they're going to have a choice but to really look at it. And right now, I know that all our communities and all our the state are really focused on their own individual budget, which they should be. But right now, money is not an issue. And as strange as money is not an issue, it's getting this done is the issue, and that's why our congressional delegation they are fighting against the president of the Senate, that McConnell, Senator McConnell, who's saying let the communities go bankrupt, let the states go bankrupt. This is foolishness. That those funds need to come in so that our state and our local communities don't go bankrupt, or so that in turn the states and the local communities can actually do this extraordinary work that I'm suggesting. So I think we need everybody to play ball here, and we need to think about things a lot differently than we have in the past. This is not the normal. What's
okay,
the response of these? I'm sorry.
Hang on for just a second. we have to take a break. Lieutenant Governor, can you stick around for a few more minutes?
I can. Yep.
Okay, good. We have to take a break here on Coffee and going to bring the weather forecast being brought to you by Cars.com. Sunny skies this morning, partly sunny skies this afternoon. There is a slight chance of some showers before 3. High temperature today near 62. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, low around 42. Friday starts out sunny with increasing clouds in the afternoon, high near 59. Friday night, cloudy skies, low 35. Saturday, cloudy, chance of rain and snow showers in the morning. Then it changes over to all rain showers and a high near 47. Sunday, sunny and a high near 55. And currently, outside the Navigate Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, we have 45 degrees. Whether you need a car now or plan to buy someday soon, Cars.com has nearly 2 million cars ready for home delivery. Connect with dealers to tour cars virtually and search great prices. Check out Cars.com. More Coffee Ants coming up. Stay tuned.
Gators Pub has reopened for takeout and delivery. You can order delivery through DoorDash, but for takeout at Gators Pub, call 401-769-2220. 769-2220. Call Gators Pub with your credit card ready. Then when you get to Gators Pub's parking lot, call them back and let them know you're there. Gators Pub curbside takeout hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Gators Pub full menu is offered for takeout and delivery. Gators Pub on Victory Highway, Slatersville reminds you to be on the lookout for weekly promotions and deals. Gators Pub has reopened for takeout and delivery.
0877 Drive Ed.
Who's Ed?
That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
You can't wait to get your license. You want to get behind the wheel and drive. Let's roll. You want to be in control, but you gotta learn how to survive. Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 0877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed?
That's Levante's Auto School.
Levante's Auto School, where every aspect of good defensive driving is emphasized, like driving on busy interstates, parallel parking, knowledge about laws which relate to use of cell phones, texting, as well as other distractions which impair focus. They're all important in preparing a driver for routine driving as well as the unexpected.
Call 877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed?
That's Levante's Auto School.
And now, Levante's Auto School is certified by both Rhode Island and Massachusetts to teach the driver's training course over the Internet. No need to wait. Call now.
There's a new feature at valleybreeze.com that will make it easier to find the business or deal you're looking for, as well as share their ads with family and friends. Head to valleybreeze.com. At the right, find This Week's Ads. Click it and you'll see all the ads that were in the Breeze's 5 newspapers. Maybe you've finished with your paper or are recalling an ad you noticed a few days ago. Just use the search function and the ad is right there, ready to be printed or shared. Merchants, share your ads on social media. The Valley Breeze. Our mission is your success.
It's Coffee In on ON, AM, and FM. This is Joe Callahan. We're here with Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. Bob Lauder is here as well. And Bob, it's time for a first message from your law office, please.
Well, the Lieutenant Governor's on a short time, so why don't we push my commercials off a little bit later and talk to him?
Okay, what's your question then, Bob?
Is that possible? My question
Sure.
was, what has been the response of our own state legislature and the leadership in reacting to what you have suggested?
Did we lose the Lieutenant Governor, Dave? Did we lose Bob?
Nope, you have me.
All right, Bob's still there. I don't know where the Lieutenant Governor went. Dave will work on that. So while you're working on that, Bob, let's have a first message from your law office.
No,
Okay,
no.
great.
Hold on. Dan obviously did drop the call somehow, and
Yeah, but I got back in.
it was still connected. It was still connected to us, but I heard a couple of clicks, and then the phone rang again. So thanks for calling back in, Dan.
Yeah, well, I just got knocked off, but I just the last thing I heard was Bob had a question. So other than that,
Bob has his question prepared for you.
Yes, Lieutenant Governor. My question was, what has been the response of the leadership in the state legislature, Speaker Mattiello and other people, to the suggestions and recommendations that you've been putting forth?
Yeah, so I think that they're being, they're listening. I've had conversations with different reps and senators that are having conversation with leadership on the issue, and I think that they're listening right now, and I think that but I think that they need to really, really take a harder look, because I still think that the instinct right now on both the state and local levels is to have the federal monies, cover the problem that we have right now, and I'm not sure that everybody's come to the same spot that I am, Bob, which is that there's going to be a state obligation here, and there's going to be a local obligation that is not quite on the table. So we're just going to keep on talking about these things, and I think that that the opportunity like being on today is resonating, and we're encouraging all our small businesses in particular to be really calling their reps and senators and letting them know what's going on. So nothing has come out of the state, which is the governor's office right now, that addresses what I'm addressing. That the flexibility issue has been very slow to get the flexibility for these businesses in a which I think is still a safe way. And as far as the money, the potential investment that needs to be made by the state, hopefully there'll be a program that's coming. But I'm not aware of anything that actually is happening.
If you were saying to the voters, I'd like you to call your state rep and champion the suggestions, what single suggestion would you want them to spearpoint to bring to their legislator? They can't talk about all the things that you had, but just one item.
Yeah, so if it was people in the community that don't own a business, but they do business at small businesses, and they are supporting those small businesses, I think the first thing that they say is, I'm here because I really want that business to be open after this health crisis, and I would like you to make sure that you call up that business owner, that man or woman that owns that business, so that you can hear directly from them what's going on, and have a full understanding of the severity of this. So that'd be the first thing I would do: is encourage people to call their reps and senators on behalf of the small businesses that they do business with, and encourage them to talk to those businesses that they, there's a lot of goodwill. Our small business is a lot of goodwill. I don't care if it's an attorney, a dentist, a health club, or a garden shop, or whatever it might be. There's a lot of goodwill that's been developed with between the businesses and the people that are their customers or their clients. So that's what I would say. I would say call them up and say, look, call up this business up and talk to that business owner about what is happening and how close to the edge they are right now because of this. And then that would maybe create a little more urgency in everybody's mind.
That's good.
Okay. Dave, you had a question for the Lieutenant Governor?
Well, I just had some comments, but I'm really engrossed in the questions that Bob had asked. So if I might be allowed a follow-up there. We're looking at a legislature that was already going into session knowing that they were, forgive the vernacular, they were just totally screwed, and they were short hundreds of millions of dollars anyway, and they were going to try to do something, pull a rabbit out of a hat. Now this happens, and I sense when I talk to many of the representatives, especially, I don't talk to senators as often, there's fewer of them, but that they're looking at the whole thing and saying, man, I don't have a clue on what to do. I have no idea how we'll ever get out of this. We are doomed, but I'm going to show up and do what I can. How do you get leadership out of that attitude is what I'm wondering.
Well, I think you have to. I think you got to remind everybody in 2008, 2009 time frame, we were, we had, General Motors ready to go out of business. We had Citigroup that was down to $1 a share, ready to go out of business. I mean, we've seen this scenario before, and the dollars that were ended up being putting into an AIG and those larger corporations at the time, that's who got bailed out at the time. There was a recovery, and the dollars that were given to those were actually paid back to the federal government. So I would be sitting there saying, look, it's very short-term thinking that all of a sudden we're just closing up our tent and we're never going to get out of this. We've already gone through a scenario that is not exactly the same, but in terms of a fiscal crisis, it's relatively similar. It's just the fact that, that it wasn't as long-lived as this was going to be until we get the vaccine, Dave. So I would be saying, first of all, look, we've worked our way through these things. What is the puzzle that's on the table today is different than that puzzle, but it can be solved. And then the other thing that I would be saying is, look, yes, you've got to be fiscally responsible in terms of what the local budgets look like and the state budget, but you also got to come to terms with the fact that if we have major closures of our small businesses, you're going to have a longer road to go on for the recovery than if you do like a mini strategy like I just talked about with the AIG and the Citigroup and the General Motors. You do that for your small business, which we've never done in this state. We've never appreciated how important our small businesses are. This is the time to do it. And and that's why I was saying the state on the program I'm suggesting just needs to put a guarantee up and then go to the bank. Remember, the banks today have the money. They didn't have the money back 10 years ago. They were being crushed by that whole mortgage fiasco that was going through, right? They didn't have the money. They had to be given the money. Right now, they have the money to do what you need to do. You just need to organizing them in a way that they do more than they would normally do, and the state, quite frankly, wouldn't even have to put any money up. They just have to put guarantees up. As a former mayor, Dave, I would be sitting there saying if part of the deal was to help my local small business as a mayor, that I had to put up a small percentage of the guarantee to loosen up 10 times, 15 times, 20 times the money for these businesses, I'd do it. And like I said, I managed that town. I budgeted every budget for a break even, and then I managed it to make sure I had some money at the end of the day to restore our surplus. So this is different. So yeah. So what I would say is we've already gone through it. We have examples on a large scale of what was done to help those large corporations at the time. The time is right now to do with the small businesses because they represent, I don't know, the majority of the people who work in the state work for small businesses, and the big part of our economy in Rhode Island is the small businesses. So that's what I would say. Look at the past. We figured it out then. This is a different puzzle. We can figure it out now, but we need to start being active so that when after this 8-week time frame, especially on the PPPs, we're going to be in a whole different world come July, August, September. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate that response. I'll leave you with just one little thing to do. You can't do it right now. It's something that I want to just put in the back of your mind and be ready for it, because the time will come when all of a sudden our unemployment figures are going to start dropping like a rock down to the 4 and 5%. There won't be a lot of people back to work, but you know what's going to happen when they run out of benefits. They're no longer unemployed, even if they're not working. Kind of watch that on the DLT. You know the kind of game they're playing with that. Everybody knows it. They deny it. But actually, Charlie Fogarty was the last one to actually deny it. But since then, they don't even answer the question. They just turn away and walk away from you when you bring it up.
That unemployment thing is that we've taken over 200,000 applications. This is why I'm saying this is very critical. And what you're saying is true. And by the way, unless the federal comes in and replenishes our unemployment fund at a level where it was started, all our small businesses are going to pay to replenish that, which is only going to create more problems. And then the other piece that you just said, that just supports, I think, my argument of like trying to make sure that we do the extraordinary things to keep our small businesses in business so there will be jobs. and then that unemployment area is not going to be as fractured as it could be.
That'd be great. And I'll just shut off the microphone after I read this message just phoned into the switchboard. A comment from the listeners saying today is National Day of Prayer. We could sure use it.
Absolutely.
I'd agree.
All right.
I'd
Lieutenant
agree.
Governor McGee, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, God bless America, and we want to say our prayers today because that's always a good thing to do right now. That'll give us a little bit of reflection and about what we need to do going forward. But I think that just be safe, and safety is the top priority, and let's be flexible as we reopen our economy.
Thanks for the extra time, Dan. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yep,
thanks for
thank
sticking
you,
around,
guys.
Dan. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a
Yep.
final break here on Coffee and we'll be right back.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. Kara, what's the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is providing security to families and help protect what's important to them. My specialty is picking apart policy details so customers understand their coverages and options. It can be very overwhelming, and I am here to help with that.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
Whether you order the house specials or new entrees, you'll enjoy your meal at George's Restaurant, where everything is prepared with care. For breakfast, how about a fromage à trois omelet with American, cheddar, and Swiss? Or the spring omelet with spinach and tomato? George's Restaurant now has a steak, spinach, and cheddar wrap and baked haddock on Thursday and Friday. New entrees are house favorites like meatloaf or American chop suey with garlic bread. Enjoy them often at George's Restaurant, 793 Harris Avenue, Woonsocket. Takeout's welcome.
Call George's Restaurant at 769-1036 for takeout. Dave Richards recommends the chicken soup and the hot dogs. It's my favorite.
Together?
Oh, yeah.
You dip the hot dog in the chicken soup?
No, you eat them separately. It's just that
All right.
I love the chicken soup. I love the way John makes a hot dog. You know, he puts all the condiments inside the bun and then puts the hot dog on top.
Instead of the other way around.
Yeah, right. Doesn't fall off when you're eating it.
Wow,
This is the
that's
kind
right.
of care and detail that he puts into his cooking. Really nice. George's one of my favorite places.
All right. Bob, still with us?
I am.
All right, let's get a first message from your law office, please.
Good morning. Thanks. During the COVID-19 shutdown, when grocery stores have been providing seniors shopping hours for those of us who are susceptible to the virus, and when SNAP food stamps have been providing extra benefits, not all of the individuals and entities with whom we come in contact have been as benevolent. The Internal Revenue Service has issued warnings about an increase in phishing scams designed to separate you from your hard-earned money. Among the scams presently circulating through the Internet and through telephone contact are offers to assist individuals in securing their $1,200 stimulus checks. Communications indicate that just by divulging some confidential information, such as your Social Security number and the bank account number into which you desire the check to be deposited, that the company or agency can get the funds into your hands quickly. Some of the communications actually appear to come from the IRS. Please remember, the IRS is not contacting taxpayers to facilitate the delivery of checks. Companies and agencies which are requesting your confidential information are not going to be helping you to get money. They're helping themselves to steal money from you. It is startling the amount of damage an unscrupulous individual or entity can do to your finances and your credit and add to your debt just by having your Social Security number. Do not give this information to strangers. Rhode Island Legal Services has also recently published a notification about some other scams in the area. Among them are individuals offering fake COVID-19 testing for a price, individuals impersonating health officers offering to complete the COVID-19 testing and asking for your personal information, and the familiar "Grandma, it's me and I'm in jail" scam, now modernized to "Grandma, it's me, I'm trapped in foreign country and need to get money to get back home." With all occasions throughout your life, be very careful. Carefully analyze any offer made to you, and do not disclose confidential information to strangers. If you think my office may be of assistance to you in legal matters, please call me for an appointment on the telephone. We do telephone conferences. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 401-762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney. It's an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
Okay, Bob. Now, you said you had an answer for my question from last week. So what was the question, and what answer did you find out?
Your question was whether or not the governor had the right to issue orders to close down businesses and take action like that. And it devolves into a whole lot of different considerations that you have to make. With regard to whether or not a state can institute a law that has an impact on people that they may find to be a personal challenge to their constitutional rights. Most analogous one I could find was going back to 1905. In 1905, the case came before the United States Supreme Court, and it arose out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, which had passed a town ordinance that said that every individual over the age of 21 years had to have smallpox vaccination. A challenge had been raised to that to say that that was an infringement on constitutional rights, and the Supreme Court said that, let's see, I wrote it down, the fact that the state, looking at my notes, in every well-ordered society, it's the right of the individuals in respect to his liberty may at times, under the pressure of disaster, be subject to restraints and enforced regulations as the safety of the general public may demand, which basically meant if the municipality thought that there was a crisis arising and that certain actions should be taken to address the crisis, that they could, in fact, under very limited circumstances, override some of what had been perceived to be your constitutional right. Now, the court now interprets this very narrowly and says that the particular ordinance has to be very narrow and directed directly to the particular issue and the crisis arising. It cannot be broad over a wide spectrum of area. But then you go back to another part of this, and that is that what the Supreme Court said in 1905 was with regard to an ordinance that had been passed by a governing body, the Town Council of Cambridge, Massachusetts. In this case, we didn't have the governor, the state legislature passing the order that said that we had to have the social distancing and closing down business. We had the governor who was making that statement. And there's a section of the Rhode Island state law, 3015-9, which says that the governor has the right to declare emergencies. And when the governor does declare such an emergency, it can go to such things as controlling the access and egress of people from high-risk areas, and it can have the mandatory movement of personnel within those areas. So it seems that the state legislature has said, we empower the governor under certain conditions to declare a disaster emergency and to therefore make these kind of seemingly arbitrary decisions regarding the operation of business. So I think that there's grounds for what the governor may be doing.
In short, Emergency Powers Act.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Blanket authority to run roughshod upon what would normally be people's personal liberties for the betterment of the whole as opposed to the individual rights of the few under the auspices of the Emergency Powers Act.
Yes, but it has to be very closely defined and very specific to the particular emergency, and it cannot just be something that goes out generally without restriction.
Some people around the United States, Bob, want everybody tested for COVID-19.
Right.
Even if healthy.
Yeah.
And now they say that's also kind of impossible to do, but
I'm not sure
comes to
exactly
that.
what the COVID-19 tests are doing. If I understand correctly, it indicates whether or not a person has had contact and is carrying the virus or has developed the antibodies against the virus. But if the COVID-19 test is taken on Monday And on Friday, the individual comes in contact with someone who is positive and
That's
therefore assumes the virus within themselves. The test on Monday doesn't do a whole lot in determining what they're happening on Friday.
Right.
So I'm not sure that, overall nationwide testing, we test everybody on Tuesday, is going to really work. But I think they have to have a advance in the amount of tests so that they can determine whether or not people are likely to spread it, especially to more vulnerable communities such as nursing homes.
The situation's too dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too fluid. We are coming to the end of the program pretty quickly. So, Bob, let's get a second message from your law office, and then we'll wrap things up for the day.
Thank you. Thanks. A few minutes ago, I cautioned you to avoid providing confidential information to strangers in order to protect your assets. Now that you've protected your assets, it may be prudent for you to consider what will happen to those assets when you're no longer alive to protect them. In the past, you've heard me discuss the concept of a last will and testament, the benefits it provides to your heirs and beneficiaries following your death, and the consequences which may arise in the absence of a last will and testament. This morning, I'd like to expand upon other vehicles you may consider to increase your protection. A last will and testament operates only after your death, but things may take place during your lifetime which could result in the need for others to administer your assets. Those events could be a catastrophic accident or medical emergency which renders you incompetent, or the slow progression into a debilitating mental state. In the absence of advanced planning, in the event of such a catastrophe, your assets may end up being administered by the guardian or conservator appointed by a probate court. You can do some planning now to address these issues. In the event you were alive but unable or unwilling to handle your assets, who would you want to have do it for you? What limits would you want to place on that individual or entity? And what would happen to the assets being administered in the event of your death? What I'm suggesting is the creation of a living trust, an instrument which operates during your lifetime as well as after your death. An instrument which guides the administration and distribution of your assets without probate court intervention. An instrument which will protect the assets from claims of creditors and challenges raised by disgruntled heirs at law. If you think my office may be of assistance to you in this or other legal matters, please call me for a telephone conference. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is area code 401-762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, we do got to run, but let's get a real quick opinion from you on this one. It's a legal matter. It's out of Massachusetts, and I know you don't practice in Massachusetts, but Legal Seafoods is suing its insurer for rejecting its claim over pandemic-related financial losses. The company claims it has an all-risks policy with their insurance company that should cover its losses from the coronavirus pandemic. Their attorneys say the policy does not have a pandemic exclusion in the policy. The insurance company has twice denied financial loss claims filed by Legal Seafoods. Do you think the Legal Seafoods has a foot to stand on here?
I think it is going to depend entirely on the exact wording of the insurance contract.
Okay.
Because how they determine what a loss is going to be under the terms of the contract. And without the contract, I can't give any kind of idea on that.
Okay.
As we all know, Joe, insurance companies only make money by denying claims.
That's right. And that's exactly what they're doing. And you might see a lot of other companies suing their insurance companies if the insurance companies aren't paying.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Possible. All right, we got to run.
It's not like the Attorneys Free Employment Act.